Good morning, cadets. Today we are learning transfer of heat. We know that heat is energy transferred from one system to another system or one part of a system to another part of the system arising due to temperature difference. Heat is energy transferred from hot body to the cold body, hot part to the cold part, which is the transfer of energy due to temperature difference. Then what are the ways through which the transfer of heat takes place? There are basically three modes of transfer of heat. You will be remembering, one is by conduction, second one is by convection, the third one is by radiation. Conduction, convection and radiation. These are the three modes of transfer of heat. Conduction usually takes place in solids such as metals. To give you example, if you take a rod, metal rod, hold it to the flame. One end of the metal rod, hold it to the flame, another end should be in your hand. After some time, after 4-5 minutes, you will not be able to hold it. Suddenly you will drop it because of transfer of heat. So such a transfer of heat through the solids, through the metals, is called as conduction, and metals are called good thermal conductors. Metals are good thermal conductors. Here in this case of conduction, the heat is transferred from one molecule to another molecule. You know, in the solids, the atoms and molecules are very closely packed. When one end of the metal rod is heated, the transfer of transfer of energy starts taking place from hot end to the cold end, from hotter end to the colder end. So it will be transferred from the molecules at the hotter end to the neighborly lying molecules. Once they become hot, they will transfer that heat energy to the next neighborly lying molecules. In this way, the transfer of heat takes place by conduction. So in this transfer of heat, the only energy is transferred. The molecules are at their own place. The molecules will be able to just vibrate about their position because of the heat energy. Because in the case of solids, you know, the molecules are closely packed. They do not have any space to move around. So only possibility is that the molecules can vibrate about their position. So as a result of which the energy is transferred from one molecule to next molecule to neighborly lying molecule. So as a result, the heat energy is transferred from hot end to cold end. This mode of transfer of heat by actual physical contact from one molecule to another molecule through the actual physical contact is called as conduction. And in this case of conduction, the molecules do not move from one end to another end. The molecules do not move from one end to another end. They will be just at their own place and they will be vibrating. Second mode of transfer of heat is convection. Conduction takes place usually in solids such as metals. Since metals are good conductors of heat, metals are good thermal conductors. Convection takes place in fluids. Fluids means liquids and gases. Here, convection takes place by actual movement of the molecules. The molecules move from hotter end to the colder end. They move from hotter end to the colder end. If you take a vessel of water, take a vessel and fill it with water and keep it on the flame, on the furnace. As you go on supplying heat, you will notice that the bubbles rising from the bottom to the top. After some time, you will find the movement of water from bottom to top. The hot layer exactly at the bottom hot molecules, after becoming hot, the molecules become less dense and they rise. They rise to the top layer, and thus they move from hotter end to the colder end. At the top layer, the molecules are still cold and they are heavy. Being heavy, they move down. As a result, you will find the movement of molecules from hot end to the cold end. So that kind of transfer of heat, which takes place by actual movement of molecules from hot end to the cold end, is called as convection. And the radiation is the transfer of heat which doesn't require any material medium. The radiation which doesn't require any material medium. The transfer of heat which takes place in vacuum. We receive the heat from sun. When you go out and stand in the sunlight, our body becomes very hot. We receive the heat from the sun through radiation. Between sun and earth, it is totally vacuum. So, the radiation, the transfer of heat which doesn't require any material medium, either solid, liquid or gas, it can transfer through vacuum. That mode of transfer of heat is called as radiation. And you can just write the heat conduction in solids takes place from one end to other end, hot end to cold end, without actual movements of molecules. Molecules can just vibrate about their position. Whereas in case of fluids, the transfer of heat takes place by convection, which takes place by actual movement of molecules from hotter position to cold position, hotter position to colder position. The molecules are moving from one end to another end. That is called as convection. Here there is no question of any convection. There is no question of any movement. Here the radiation can take place without any movement. So to give example, if there is a fire in this winter season, we feel like going and sitting around the fire. So we warm our body, we warm our palms near the flame. So that is an example of radiation, transfer of heat by radiation. If you hold your hand on the top of flame, immediately you will be able to take out. You will not be able to hold it. Even for seconds you will not be able to hold it, because hot gases rise up. So transfer of heat that takes place through hot gases is by convection, the second one. Then if you hold the rod in the flame, transfer of heat through the metal rod from hot end to the cold end takes place by conduction. So these are the three modes of transfer of heat. Now we will learn one by one. First we will learn about conduction and thermal conductivity. We know that metals are good conductors of heat. So we can write metals are good thermal conductors. But when you look at the gases are poor conductors of heat. So we can write gases are poor conductors. Poor conductors of heat. You can also write insulators, thermal insulators. Gases are thermal insulators. Whereas the liquids, the thermal conductivity of liquids lie in between that of metals and gases. Metals in the sense solids. Liquids have their conductivity lying in between that of solids and gases. So as far as conductors are concerned, we will be always thinking of solids, that too metals. We will discuss about it in detail. Now we will discuss about the thermal conductivity. Thermal conductivity. Consider a metal rod of area of cross section A having length L is placed between two ends. One end at a hot reservoir having very high source of heat. Another end a cold reservoir which is maintained always cold. So this end C is a hot reservoir where you will find source of heat continuously heating, maintaining some high temperature, let us say 200 degrees Celsius. And cold reservoir is the one which is maintaining very low temperature, let us say 0 degrees Celsius. Always it is maintained at that 0 degrees Celsius. That's why it is called as sink. So we know that when the temperature difference is maintained, let us say that this is having temperature Tc and this is having temperature Td, such that Tc is very much high compared to Td. Then there is a transfer of heat from hot end to cold end. The heat transfer takes place. We call it as the rate of flow of heat. The rate of flow of heat will be attaining a steady value, steady rate. Steady rate means constant rate, steady rate of flow of energy. Rate in the sense time, with respect to time. When we maintain same temperature, hot reservoir at say 200 degrees Celsius and cold reservoir say at 0 degrees Celsius, then within a few minutes the transfer of heat becomes steady. So then we study the rate of flow of heat energy from hot end to cold end. Let this be of length L, rod be of length L and having area of cross section A. And here this rod is being kept in a chamber which is covered with insulation so that there is no loss of heat to the surrounding. The heat is transferred from hot end to cold end. Nowhere else the heat is lost. That's why it is kept in a thermal insulation. It is kept surrounded by thermal insulation. Then experimentally it is found that the time rate of flow of heat energy, if you call it as dQ by dt. Experimentally, this time rate of flow of heat energy is found to be directly proportional to the temperature difference Tc minus Td. Experimentally, it is found that the time rate of flow of heat energy from hot end to cold end is directly proportional to the temperature difference in temperature at the ends. And it is also found to be, this is first one. Second thing is, this dQ by dt is also found to be directly proportional to the area of cross section. Directly proportional to A, area of cross section of the metal rod or metal block. You can say metal slab, whatever it is, area of cross section, or metal bar, you can say area of cross section. A is the area of cross section of the metal bar or metal rod. then it is also found to be inversely proportional to length. Shorter the length, more rapidly the transfer of heat takes place. Longer the length, less rapidly the transfer of heat takes place. It's quite common experience. If the rod length is short, the transfer of heat will be very fast. If the rod length is very long, if it is quite long, then transfer of heat takes place slowly. So this transfer of heat, the rate of flow of transfer of heat is found to be inversely proportional to the length of the rod. So when you combine these three facts, 1, 2, 3, we get an equation dq by dt. That is what we can call as rate of flow of heat is directly proportional to area of cross section, temperature difference, and inversely proportional to length of the rod, where L is the length of the rod. Then if you take out this proportionality sign, we get dq by dt is equal to a constant capital K, constant of proportionality capital K into A Tc minus Td divided by L. This K is called as the thermal conductivity, where K is called as thermal conductivity of the metal. Thermal conductivity of the solid metal which we have taken. So we come to know that the thermal conductivity of metal differs from material to material. So silver, if you take, it's a very good conductor, followed by copper, then by steel, then by brass. So different metals have got different thermal conductivities. Out of all, silver is the very good thermal conductor. So that can be determined by the value of K. K determines the value of the thermal conductivity of a metal. Whether it is a very good thermal conductor or poor thermal conductor can be found out with the help of value of K. And you know, this value of K will be almost the same even if the temperature differences are normally K is constant for normal temperature differences. It differs for very high temperature differences. Okay, K is constant for a metal, characteristic of a metal. Thermal conductivity, not electrical conductivity. Electrical conductivity is inverse of electrical resistivity, which you have learned in 10th standard. That is different. Electrical conductivity is reciprocal of electrical resistivity. So that is the case of conduction of electricity. Here it is the conduction of heat. That's why it is called as thermal conductivity. Okay, it is related to conduction of heat. So K differs from metal to metal. We'll list the some of the values of K, then you will come to know which is a better conductor and which is a poor conductor. So first we'll define what is thermal conductivity. In the textbook, he has taken this dq by dt as h. Rate of flow of heat is taken as h. Therefore, h is equal to Ka Tc minus Td divided by L, which is this is h. Okay. Now we will write what is the equation for K. Take this L to the left hand side, then K becomes equal to h, that is dq by dt into L divided by A into Tc minus Td. This helps us to find out its SI unit as well as to define what is thermal conductivity of a metal. For example, if length of the rod is 1 meter, length of the rod is 1 meter, or unit value, let's say unit value 1 unit, and the area of cross section is also say 1 meter square or 1 unit. then let us say temperature difference Tc minus Td equal to 1 degree Celsius or 1 Kelvin, 1 minute. Then if you substitute L equal to 1, A equal to 1, Tc minus Td equal to 1, then you are getting K is equal to H. Then K becomes equal to H. That is nothing but dQ by dt. So in this way I can define what is thermal conductivity. Thermal conductivity of a metal is equal to, numerically equal to rate of flow of heat, time rate of flow of heat across a metal of unit length having a unit cross sectional area with temperature difference of 1 unit. So now we can define what is thermal conductivity. Thermal conductivity A is numerically equal to time rate of flow of heat flow of thermal energy. It's actually we should say time rate of flow of thermal energy. H across a metal or a solid, across solid of unit length having unit cross sectional area maintain its ends with unit temperature difference, unit temperature difference. Tc minus Td equal to 1. That's how we define thermal conductivity. Okay. Now, what is the SI unit of thermal conductivity? You see, rate of flow of heat or rate of flow of thermal energy is measured in joule per second. So, using this I can write joule per second SI unit of thermal conductivity. Joule per second, because H is measured in joule per second, dQ by dt, joule per second, and here 1 meter is there, in the denominator meter square is there, so 1 meter cancels. So there is a meter in the denominator, per meter, and temperature difference Kelvin, it is measured in the SI unit of temperature Kelvin, so per Kelvin. So joule per second per meter per Kelvin is the SI unit of thermal conductivity, which is also equal to, we know that joule per second is watt, power. Rate of flow of heat is also nothing but, rate of flow of thermal energy is also nothing but power, thermal power. Rate of flow of thermal energy can also be called as thermal power. Thermal power, right? Thermal power is measured in watts per meter per Kelvin. Watt per meter per Kelvin. So this is the SI unit of thermal conductivity. Now I will give you some list of thermal conductivities from which you will be able to identify which one is a better conductor of thermal energy and which one is a poor conductor, which can be classified as insulators. Okay. When you look at these values, silver, these are the metals, non-metals and gases and their respective thermal conductivities. Silver has 406 watt per meter per Kelvin, copper 385 watt per meter per Kelvin, aluminium 205, brass 109, steel 50.2. So when you look at these are all metals. So we can say that metals are all very good thermal conductors because their K values are very high. Out of which silver is the best conductor out of all these given metals, followed by copper. Silver is being a very high cost metal, so usually copper is used. You know that in the market nowadays, the steel vessels with copper bottom are available because copper, which is coated at the bottom of the vessel, copper helps for uniform distribution of heat and transfer of heat takes place uniformly faster since its conductivity is very high compared to that of steel. Steel is having very low value, 50.2. So the steel utensils with copper bottoms are available so that transfer of heat takes place faster, and if you keep the food stuff with water, the transfer of heat by convection also takes place faster. That is the reason we will be getting the cooking pots or the cooking utensils with copper bottom. So uniform distribution of heat takes place faster because of high value of the thermal conductivity of copper. Then you look at the non-metals like concrete, hardly 0.8, wood 0.12, very low value. Therefore, wood is a thermal insulator. So these are all insulators. Whereas these are all conductors. I have written here, metals are all good conductors of heat. So wood is a good thermal insulator. Glass wool is also, look at this, it's having very low value, 0.04. It's a very good insulator. Water is also insulator. Water is also having low conductivity of heat, 0.8. You know that the transfer of heat in water takes place very slowly because of its high value of specific heat also. The main reason is its conductivity is low, 0.8. Whereas ice, you see, ice is having high value, 1.6 watt per meter per Kelvin. So these are the insulators. Although concrete is having 0.8, but you see in the summer season the concrete buildings will be very hot. So the roof of the buildings will be usually painted white in the summer season. It will be coated with white, or it will be laid down with plastic foam. The plastic foam is consisting of air packets. Air pockets, you know, air is also good thermal insulator. You see, 0.024. These are the gases. The air has a very less value of thermal conductivity, 0.024. These are also having very low values. Therefore, gases are poor conductors. So, gases are also insulators. So, in the summer season, the concrete building will be very hot. So, in order to keep the room cool, the terrace, the upper part of the roof will be laid with a plastic foam, or it will be painted white. You know, white is a good reflector of heat. It will be painted white. White is a good reflector of heat. Okay. So these are all some of the examples. Now we will be solving some of the numerical problem. We will solve one numerical problem, and next we will be discussing convection and radiation in the next video. Now look at this numerical problem. What is the temperature of the steel copper junction? Here is a steel rod and a copper rod which are being joined here. It is called as steel copper junction. In the steady state of system, what is the temperature of the steel copper junction in the steady state of system? Means, what is the temperature of this junction? Suppose I am taking temperature as T. When the rate of flow of heat through this steel copper combined junction when the steady state is attained. What is the temperature of this junction? Length of the steel rod is 15 centimeter. Length of the copper rod is 10 centimeter. And one end of the steel rod is maintained at 300 degrees Celsius. It is kept at a furnace which is supplying heat at a 300 degrees Celsius continuously at the same temperature 300 degrees Celsius. Other end is kept in the ice box. The other end of the copper is kept at the ice box maintained at 0 degrees Celsius. The area of cross section of the steel rod, you see, the area of cross section of this steel rod is 2 times the area of cross section of the copper rod. If A1 is the area of cross section of the steel rod, then A1 is equal to 2 times A2. This is given. Then thermal conductivity of steel is given 50.2 watt per meter per Kelvin, and thermal conductivity of copper 385 watt per meter per Kelvin. In the steady state, what happens? When the temperature is maintained, when there is no loss of heat to the surrounding, this combined steel copper rods are maintained in an insulating case. It is surrounded with insulated material so that there is no loss of heat to the surrounding. Whatever the heat is there, it will be continuously flowing along the length of the rod by conduction. So, when the steady state is attained, then rate of flow of heat through the system of combined steel copper will be always constant. So the rate of flow of heat that flows through steel rod becomes equal to rate of flow of heat flowing through the copper rod at steady state. So in steady state, you can write, when steady state is attained, rate of flow of heat dQ1 by dt through the steel becomes equal to dQ2 by dt through that of copper. So this is of steel and this is of copper. Let P be the temperature which we are supposed to find out. What is the temperature of steel copper junction in the steady state? Let T be the temperature of steel copper junction in steady state. Now we shall substitute the values of the dQ1 by dt and dQ2 by dt. Let us write it as K1 and the temperature of the source here is, hot source is 300 Kelvin or 300 degrees Celsius, and at this angle the temperature is assumed to be T. So the temperature difference is 300 minus T across the steel rod divided by L1. This becomes dQ1 by dt. This should be equal to dQ2 by dt. K2 into, you see, T will be at a higher end and 0 will be at lower end. So we will write it as P minus 0. This is the temperature difference across the copper rod divided by L2. We know L1 15 centimeter, L2 10 centimeter. We can just substitute. And here it's given A1 is equal to 2 times A2. If you substitute this, then we get what is the value of K1. K1 is 50.2, that of steel, into A1. A1 I can write as 2 times A2, so that A2 cancels, into 300 minus T divided by 50 L1. That's equal to K2. K2 is 385. 385 into A2. into T divided by L2 is 10 centimeter. So you can just 5 3s are 5 2s are, right? A2 cancels. Then you can try for calculating for T. So we can write here 300 minus T equal to 300 minus T is equal to 385. A2 is cancelled. 385 T into 3. This goes to the numerator. 3 divided by, already 2 is there. 2 into 2, 4 into 50.2. So if you simplify this, finally we get the answer. You can use calculator. Finally we get the answer 44.4 degrees Celsius. 44.4 degrees Celsius once the steady state is attained. So like this we will be able to calculate the numerical problem based on thermal conductivity. Okay. Now in the next video we will learn about another two modes of transfer of heat, that is convection and radiations and their applications. Thank you. Have a nice day.